What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing good on this Thursday evening. It's morning. I hope everyone is doing good on this Thursday morning. Yeah, I've clearly not woken up properly yet. But anyway, I hope everyone is doing good. We've got an absolutely massive show for you guys this morning. So please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. And let's jump straight on into it. So on the show this morning, we have got some updates for you on Amrabat. We've got some updates on Mason Greenwood. We've got some news about Gonzalo Ramos and a couple of other strikers that we were interested in who look like they're going to be going to different clubs. We will be talking a little bit about Donny van de Beek, Fred, Dean Henderson, Harry Maguire, Eric Bailly. We've got loads and loads to get into on the show this morning, so do get involved in the comments section. Do let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what your plans are for the day, and do get involved. I try and make it as interactive as possible, so yeah, do get involved with all different elements of the show. Let's start off with some positivity though. Let's start off with talking about Sofyan Amrabat, who, as you know, is somebody I'm absolutely desperate to see at Manchester United this season. Now, we've had 2 or 3 different journalists come out overnight. Just to be very, very clear, Fabrizio hasn't come out of this yet, so maybe we need to take this with a pinch of salt. But we've had 2 or 3 different Italian journalists and a Moroccan journalist all coming out in the last 10 or so hours saying that apparently Amrabat's agents are currently in England to handle talks with Manchester United. So apparently the agents of Amrabat are in England discussing bits with Manchester United. I mean, I'm not sure what to think about that. I don't think it's... I mean, I wouldn't say it's not believable because at the end of the day, they could just be here talking about potential contracts and things like that. At the end of the day, we have to remember that Manchester United haven't submitted the official bid yet to Fiorentina. Fabrizio does say that as soon as Donny van de Beek or Fred leaves Manchester United, we will then submit our first bid. So Fabrizio has said that Manchester United will send an official bid for Sofyan Amrabat as soon as Fred or Donny van de Beek leaves the club. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if his representatives are in the UK, but obviously a deal can't be done until we submit a bid. So at this point, they're probably just talking about contracts. They're talking about the length of the contract, things like that. So yeah, apparently his agents are in the UK. Which is positive. It means that the deal is progressing, but obviously if we don't submit a bid, then the deal won't be done. So it is absolutely essential that we do get people out of the club, because until that happens, from what I'm hearing, Manchester United won't then make a bid for Amrabat. It is essential that Donny leaves or Fred leaves or somebody leaves, okay? It could be Dean Henderson. It could be any of those types of players. And we will be talking about all of them a little bit later on in the show. So yeah, just keeping on the news about Amrabat, Alfredo Padula, who is an Italian journalist, is saying he is waiting to play for Manchester United. He only wants Manchester United. So it's very, very clear that... It's very, very clear that Amrabat only wants Manchester United. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. Interestingly, West Ham have had a €30 million bid rejected for Amrabat. Now, from what I'm seeing, it's not actually from the club side that it's been rejected. It's from the player side. So apparently, Amrabat doesn't want to go to West Ham, which I don't blame him, to be completely honest with you. Like, if you've got Manchester United knocking on your door, the biggest club in the world, Champions League football, we've got real momentum behind us on the football pitch at the moment. Why on earth would you move to West Ham? All respect to West Ham, but, we're levels above West Ham, aren't we? So apparently Amrabat has rejected West Ham. He only wants to come to Manchester United. And that deal does look like it will happen. I'm not convinced it'll be done before the first game of the season, if I'm completely honest. Anybody who has been living under a rock, we play our first Premier League match of the season against Wolverhampton Wanderers a week on Monday. I don't expect Amrabat to be involved in that game personally, because at the end of the day, there are so many moving parts that need to happen before this deal goes through. Fred needs to go, or Donny van de Beek needs to go, and then we need to put in the bid to Fiorentina. He'll have to do his medical. That takes time. We got the here we go for Rasmus Højlund, a week ago, and he's still not a player. I think we got it last Friday, didn't we? Was it last Friday? Anyway, it's been about a week since we got the here we go from Fabrizio for Rasmus Højlund, and he's still not a Manchester United player. So based on the speed that we're doing other deals, even if we agreed terms with Fiorentina this week for Amrabat, he's not going to be able to be involved in the game a week later, in my opinion. But as long as we get him in before the end of the transfer window, I'm happy. And as I said to you guys on a video yesterday, I don't think we need Amrabat against Wolves at home. I think we can play a midfield free of Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. I think that's enough. where we need Amrabat is when we go away to the Etihad, when we go away to Liverpool, when we go away to Manchester City, when we're playing those really, really difficult away games. We've got to have that midfield three of Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes and Sofyan Amrabat. Mason Mount, in my opinion, Eriksen, they won't be good enough in those types of games. And we saw last season, we lost 4-0 to Brentford away. We lost 7-0 to Liverpool away. We need an absolute monster in that midfield. And Eriksen, Fred, Mason Mount, they're not the right types of players to go away to the Etihad where you're going to probably get 30-40% possession and be defending for 90% of the game. So yeah, it's absolutely essential we get him. But at the moment, we are currently waiting for this official bid to go in from Manchester United. Fabrizio does go on to say that the deal should be worth somewhere between 25 and 30 million euros, which is about 20 to 25 million pounds. And I think that's a great deal. I really, really do. I think that's an incredible bit of business. If we can get him for less than 25 million, I think that would be honestly our best signing of the summer. Even if we get him for 25, I think that's an incredible bit of business. I think he's worth more than 25 million. He had an incredible World Cup. He got Fiorentina to the Europa Conference League final and did really, really well in that tournament. He had a really good season for Fiorentina. I think he's worth more than 25 million personally, but maybe there's something I don't know. He's only 26 years of age. He's obviously a full Morocco international. Had an incredible World Cup. So yeah, for 25 million, I would take that deal any day of the week. So yeah, at the moment, we are just waiting for Fred or Donny van de Beek to leave. And then as soon as that happens, Fabrizio is reporting the bid will be submitted. Personal terms are reportedly already agreed between Manchester United and the player. So there are no issue there. As I keep saying to you, all of the journalists are saying he only wants to come to Manchester United. He had an interest from Liverpool. He had interest from West Ham, but he only wants Manchester United. That is his priority. So that's the thing that really excites me about him as well. The fact that he actually wants to come to Manchester United, the fact that he's actually waiting for us, the fact that he's rejected West Ham, he's rejected Liverpool, and he wants everything he can to come to Manchester United. So Fabrizio is reporting the following. He says Manchester United will prepare their official bid to Fiorentina for Sofyan Amrabat very soon. Sources close to the deal expect the deal to be worth around 28 to 30 million euros. So there you go. That's what I've just said. 28 to 30 million euros will be enough to get this deal over the line. Sofyan Amrabat will become a Manchester United player, in my opinion, because it would be an absolute disaster if we can't get rid of Fred or Donny van de Beek, wouldn't it? Like, at least one of them is going to leave the club. And as Fabrizio says, as soon as one of them goes, we will then bring him in. The thing you've got to remember as well is, because of the Kobbie Mainoo injury, this has really, really accelerated this deal. Before the Kobbie Mainoo injury, Manchester United were quite hush-hush about this. It was very much like, we see Kobbie Mainoo as a future CDM centre mid for Manchester United. Maybe we don't need another centre mid. But as soon as he got injured, obviously he's out for about 2 months, Manchester United have really, really accelerated this deal. And it does look like they will now get this one over the line, which, as I said to you on the stream yesterday, guys, I honestly think this is our most important signing of the summer with Onana. I think he's more important than Mason Mount, and I think he's more important than Rasmus Højlund. Now, I'm not saying that in 2 or 3 years, Rasmus Højlund won't be world class and will be really, really important. But at this exact moment in time, I honestly think what Amrabat can bring to Manchester United will completely revolutionise that midfield. I really, really do believe that. We haven't had a player like that in a very, very long time. The only one we've really had is Casemiro. Imagine a midfield of Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes and Sofyan Amrabat. That is going to be really tough to break down. Really, really tough. So I'm absolutely buzzing about this one. I will, of course, keep you updated as and when we get an official bid going in. But it does look like it will be in the next kind of week or so. And as I said, I would be very, very surprised if he's featuring in the game against Wolves, purely just because of how slow we do deals. But let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope that we can. Get this one over the line sooner. But at the moment, I don't think it will be. Right, we've got over 400 people in the chat already, which is absolutely amazing. Please do go and smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're only 70 subscribers away from 8,200. So if you're not subscribed, please do go and subscribe. Let's see if we can hit 8,200 by the end of this stream this morning. Anybody who's joining late, please just kind of go back to the beginning and catch up with the show. Right, let's move on to the next story, though. Obviously, we've talked about Amrabat. Very, very excited about that one. Let's talk about Mason Greenwood. I know, honestly, Mason Greenwood seems to be the hot topic at the moment, doesn't it? Everybody's talking about Mason Greenwood. And do you know what I'm going to say from the off? I've been on Twitter this morning, which is probably not the best way to start the day, to be completely honest with you. I absolutely love Twitter, but it is the most toxic place on the internet, isn't it? So I went on Twitter this morning and literally everybody's arguing about Mason Greenwood. Everybody's got differing opinions. People are calling each other disgusting. People are saying that, like, honestly, Manchester United Twitter this morning is absolutely toxic, and it's all centered around Mason Greenwood. This is all due to ultimately Fabrizio Romano coming out last night saying an announcement on Mason Greenwood's future is now a matter of days away or even hours. It all depends on Manchester United. Ten Hag will be involved in the technical decision whether United want to keep, loan or sell him. So at the moment, it looks like the announcement on Mason Greenwood's future is imminent away, literally. And that's why on Twitter, it's literally been erupting. People are arguing, people are slagging each other off. There's so much bickering going on at the moment on Twitter. It's exactly why I said that this needs to be sorted immediately, because we can't go into the season with this looming over us. We really need to know what's happening either way. We really, really do need to know. And I'm sure even in the chat now, it's going to kind of, it's always going to cause different opinions, and that's why I'm a little bit against Mason Greenwood coming back, because I just think that the amount of conflict and the amount of issues it's going to cause within the fan base, like literally I've been on Twitter for an hour this morning, and there was a tweet I was on, and it had like 10,000 replies, and it was just people just arguing with each other, all Manchester United fans, and I'm like, this is a time where we need to be united. Our message at the moment is to get the Glazers out of the club. To me, this just seems like a distraction. It's another tactic from the Glazers to conquer and divide against us, to separate the fan base. You know, we all argue against each other about stuff like this, and they just carry on getting away with murder, you know? That's how I feel about the Glazers. They just constantly do stuff like this. And it does really, really annoy me. And I think we've just got to see through it. And we've got to respect other people's opinions on this. Everybody's going to have differing opinions. Obviously, as long as you get your opinions, you convey your opinions in a respectful way, then that's fine. But yeah, for me personally, I do just think that it's another tactic from the Glazers to conquer and divide. You know, they've thrown this out just at the time when people are getting angry about the takeover. And yeah, as I said on Twitter, it's just, honestly, it's like people just, it's just not nice to see. It really, really isn't. Like, we should all be one fan base together. But yeah, obviously, ultimately, it's not up to us. It isn't. It's up to the Glazers. The Glazers will make the decision. Ten Hag doesn't have any direct involvement in the overall decision. But what Fabrizio is saying is that Ten Hag will have some involvement in the technical decision. So that will be whether Manchester United decide to keep him, to loan him, or to sell him. So the Glazers will make the immediate decision, which is either release him from his contract or keep him as a Manchester United player. That will be up to the Glazers, right? And that's the decision we're expecting in the next couple of days. Once that's decision made, then they'll ask Ten Hag his opinion on whether he wants him to stay at the club, whether he wants him to be loaned out, or whether he wants him to sell him. And that will literally be purely based on a footballing opinion. That's not going to be whether he thinks he's done wrong or whatever, because that decision will already be made by that point. So they'll come to Ten Hag and they'll say, we've made a decision. We're happy for him to stay, or we're not happy for him to stay. If they say they're happy for him to stay, it would then be up to Ten Hag to say, okay, well, I think he should be loaned out, or okay, I think we should keep him. Yeah, and ultimately for me, this situation's just going to constantly divide the fan base, and that's the thing that which upsets me, because we need to be one fan base at the moment, guys. We need to be united. Our message is to get the Glazers out, and us all arguing on Twitter about whether one player should come back or not, it isn't very productive. It really, really isn't, in my opinion. I don't think it really helps the situation. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. Obviously, as and when it happens and we get a final decision, we can obviously then talk about it as a community. But at the moment, I don't really feel the point in getting into my personal beliefs towards it, because as I've said to you guys many, many times on this channel, it's not up to me or you. We're not the ones who are going to make this decision. It's going to be the Glazers. Once the Glazers make their decision, I'm happy to have that conversation where we can talk about it purely from a footballing perspective, and we can say whether it's best for him to be loaned out, whether it's best for him to be, put straight back into the squad, or whether it's best for him to be sold. I'm happy to have that conversation once we get to that point. But at the moment, it is up to the Glazers. It's up to them to make this decision. And if this isn't what I want to happen, though, just to be very, very clear, if I'm playing guesswork here, I reckon that they won't get rid of him, personally. I think he will stay. I think he will be returned to the squad. And a lot of people I've seen on Twitter, a lot of smaller journalists, I'm not talking Fabrizio here, I'm talking more smaller journalists, are all saying that exact same thing, that they are expecting Mason Greenwood to come back. That's what the general kind of noise is around at the moment. This obviously hasn't been confirmed at this point, but I do agree. I do think Mason Greenwood will come back. I don't know what then will happen. Maybe he'll be loaned, maybe he'll be sold, but I can't imagine the Glazers getting rid of him at this stage, to be completely honest with you. It's gone on way too long. Like, they would have got rid of him a long, long time ago, I think, if they were going to get rid of him. They would have cut ties with him months, maybe even years ago. So yeah, if you're asking my opinion on what the Glazers will do, I do think that they will keep him, personally. And yeah, I can't be bothered to get into whether I think that's right or wrong, because it's not really up to me or you, is it? And yeah, so let's move on from that. Obviously, if you do want to get your opinions in on the Mason Greenwood situation, then of course you're welcome to do that, but just please do it in a respectful way, because anything that's, you know, any like hate towards, yeah, I'll just delete any comments like that. So yeah, just be respectful, and that's obviously fine for you guys to have your own opinion. Right, let's move on with something else though, because obviously that one is quite a difficult topic to bring up, and I hope you guys do appreciate. I try and talk about it in a fair and impartial way always. Okay, so I hope you guys are happy with that, and I hope, yeah, obviously, as I said, we can talk about it more once the Glazers have made their decision, because ultimately it's not up to us. Right, let's talk about some outgoings though really, really quickly. So there's a couple of journalists in the UK today reporting that Manchester United's midfielder Scott McTominay is still on the West Ham radar. So if anybody is unaware, obviously West Ham have a massive amount of money sat in the bank from the Declan Rice deal, £105 million. They've been trying to get Conor Gallagher from Chelsea. That hasn't worked out. They've offered 40 million, was rejected. They've tried to get James Ward-Prowse from Southampton. They've had 2 bids rejected. So it does look like they're now going to come in for Scott McTominay. David Moyes is obviously a massive fan of Scott McTominay. He's really, really keen on the signing. And they are looking for somebody to come in and fill that gap of Declan Rice. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I do think that Scott McTominay could do a really good job at West Ham. I think he would be quality for them. If we can get 20 to 30 million minimum, I think that would be acceptable. But I do think we should be getting at least £40 million for Scott McTominay personally. He's 26 years of age. He's not on very big wages at Manchester United. I believe he's on about £60 million, which I know sounds a lot of money to me or you, but when you think that people like Fred are on 120, McTominay's actually on quite low wages. So he is one of the easier players to sell. He's on 60 grand a week, McTominay. So he definitely is a slightly easier player to sell than, say, someone like Fred or Maguire, who are on absolutely astronomical wages. Now, I do think that this deal could progress quite quickly. Purely based on the fact that they need players. West Ham are the only club in the Premier League who haven't signed a single player yet, not one. They've got this £105 million sat in the bank, and they've not bought a single player. They obviously won the Europa Conference League last year, and now they're in the Europa League. So they need to bring in players. They really, really do. Obviously, Skamaka's leaving as well from West Ham. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. If I was a West Ham fan, I'd be absolutely fuming right now. I don't know if any of you know any West Ham fans, but I would be literally fuming. You know, they haven't signed a single player. They've had bids rejected from Ward-Prowse. Like, they're not doing very well. So let's just hope that they get desperate and they come back in for Scott McTominay and they come in for Maguire, because that is ultimately what's being said, that David Moyes wants both of those players really, really badly. And I think they would be really good there. I do. I think both of those players could go to West Ham and have a really, really good career there. So yeah, we are just waiting for a bid on both of those players. Obviously, we did have a bid rejected for Harry Maguire, £20 million. But reportedly, David Moyes is looking to put in a second bid for Harry Maguire. We're not sure exactly how much the bid will be worth, but as soon as we get that bit of information, we will, of course, bring it to you. My guess is it will be somewhere around 25 million plus add-ons. It will be something like that. I think if we get anything close to 30, including add-ons for Harry Maguire, I think that's a great bit of business. So let's keep our fingers and toes crossed for that one. Let's hope that we do manage to get Harry Maguire out of the door, because ultimately he's just not going to be played, is he? And I just think he's an unnecessary distraction at the moment. Every single press conference, you're going to get people asking, when's Harry Maguire getting a chance? I mean, Erik ten Hag doesn't need that. He just needs to focus on the football. If he isn't part of his plans, then he needs to leave. But there is a contrasting story coming out this morning from Alex Crook, who is a TalkSport journalist, saying that Erik ten Hag has apparently told Harry Maguire that he is content with him staying at the club. I mean, that doesn't really sound like he wants him very much. He's content. That's kind of him saying, like, I don't really want you here, but I'm not going to throw you out. Like, you can stay if you want. Yeah, I'm not really too sure about that. I think it's pretty clear that Erik ten Hag doesn't want Harry Maguire at Manchester United. He stripped him of the captaincy. He doesn't play him anymore. Yeah, I think it's definitely clear that Harry Maguire is surplus to requirements at Manchester United. And I hope for his sake, he kind of just accepts what's going on and he moves to another club. He then gets in the England squad for next summer's Euros, because honestly, for England, he is absolutely incredible. He does a great job for England. And obviously, me being English and supporting England, I want to see him in the Euros next year, because I do think he does well for England. So let's just hope that Harry Maguire sees a bit of sense. Let's hope that the people around him, his advisors, you know, point him in the right direction and just kind of soften his ego a little bit, you know, so he does feel like he does have to prove himself again, and he's going to go to West Ham. It's going to be a fresh challenge. He'll be starting every single week. He'll be playing in European competitions, and then he'll go to the Euros next year 100%. That's what he needs to do. The thing you do have to remember is that there is about a month left of the transfer window, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the last week or so we sell loads of players. I honestly think that. A lot of people have been saying that apparently clubs are kind of waiting because they know Manchester United will get desperate. Obviously, one of the issues with us doing all of our business really, really early on is that all the other clubs now know that we need to sell players. You know, after Rasmus Højlund, we'll have spent 60, 55, 115. We'll have spent about £170 million, okay? That's not including add-ons. So once we sign Rasmus Højlund, we'll have spent 170 million. And we've only sold Elanga for 15 and Telles for 6. So we've sold £20 million worth of players and we've spent 170. So our net spend at this moment in time is about £150 million. And reportedly, we needed to be around 120 to be in line with financial fair play. So I think that clubs are waiting. I think they're biding their time. They're going to wait until the last week or so of the window. And then you will see people coming in for Brandon Williams, Eric Bailly, Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire. I reckon there's going to be a massive flurry of transfers once the season starts and once the clubs know we're desperate. Obviously, at the moment, we're doing really well on the ingoings, I think. I'm really, really happy with the players we've brought in. I'm happy with Onana. I'd say Onana was a 9.5 out of 10 signing. I'd say Rasmus Højlund was like an 8 out of 10 signing. Amrabat, if we get him, I'd say was a 9 out of 10. Mason Mount's the only one I'm a little bit unsure about at the moment. Obviously, he has my full support. Obviously, I want him to do well. Obviously, I'll back him 100%, but I am a little bit unsure about the Mason Mount signing, so I'd probably give that one like a 6 out of 10, to be completely honest with you. But let me know in the comment section, how happy are you with the transfer window so far? Let me know out of 10 what your rating is for the ingoings and for the outgoings. I'm going, for the outgoings, I'd probably say like a 2 out of 10. For the ingoings, I'd probably say like a 7.5. That's if we get Rasmus Højlund and Amrabat, which we will. But yeah, let me know in the comment section how you're feeling about the transfer window so far. And as I said, I do expect a flurry of transfers to happen in the last kind of 1 or 2 weeks of the window, because ultimately other clubs will know that we're desperate to sell players. They know that we'll need to align with financial fair play. Obviously, we've spent quite a lot of money already. And I do imagine all of those people we've listed, Dean Henderson, Eric Bailly, all of those people who aren't going to play anymore will be moved out of the club. But it's going to be right at the end when we're desperate. And ultimately, we won't get as much money as you guys want for them, because it'll be right at the end and the other clubs will know that we need money, which is frustrating, but it is what it is, isn't it? It's just the way that Manchester United have done it. Whereas West Ham is the complete opposite, right? They've sold a player for 105 and done no business. But now every single club knows they've got all this money, and every single club's going to want top dollar for all of their players. So in some ways, maybe we've got better deals this summer because people know that we don't have as much money. I'm not really too sure. But yeah, let's just hope we do get some people out of the door. And let's hope that happens in the kind of next couple of weeks at least, so we can at least then spend that money on other players. We can reinvest it in our squad, because for me, we 100% need another striker, which is the next topic of today's show. We're going to be talking about a second striker at Manchester United. We've got over 600 of you in the chat now, which is absolutely amazing. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't already, and please do subscribe to the channel. I've just dropped a link in the chat to subscribe. We are 60 subscribers away from 8,200, so let's see if we can hit that by the end. Go and subscribe now if you haven't already. Right, let's move on to the next story though, and let's talk about the striker situation. Obviously, Rasmus Højlund, the announcement has been delayed. He's done his medical. He signed the contract apparently. Rasmus Højlund will be unveiled as a Manchester United player on Saturday at Old Trafford for the Manchester United versus Lens game. Anybody go into that game, that'll be a really, really special one. Obviously, it's only a friendly, but yeah, that'll be really, really nice for Rasmus Højlund to be unveiled as a Manchester United player. The only thing I have to say on that, though, is it is a little bit frustrating that he's not going to be able to train, is he? So Rasmus Højlund will probably start training next week, but then the Premier League season starts in a week. So whether he'll be able to start that game against Wolves, I'm not entirely sure. I hope he is, because I think we really, really need him. But yeah, I'm not really too sure, to be honest. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think Rasmus Højlund will start against Wolves a week on Monday? He won't be involved on Saturday, that's for sure. He'll be unveiled as a Manchester United player on Saturday. Maybe he'll be involved on Sunday against Atletico Bilbao. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, right, let's talk about the striker situation. So obviously, Rasmus Højlund is pretty much confirmed. Obviously, we're just waiting for the official photos. But in my opinion, we need a second striker, 100%. If we get a second striker, and a good one, I reckon we can honestly be up there to win the title this year. Without a second striker, I think we'll get top 4. That's my kind of opinion at this moment in time. So the second strikers that I would have been interested in would have been someone like Gonçalo Ramos, Taremi, Kolo Muani, maybe even someone like Jonathan David is a kind of really, really last choice option. But we have got some news for you on Gonçalo Ramos. Now, I know a lot of you really, really wanted Gonçalo Ramos. And I'll say this now, I'll be completely honest. I'm not going to bend around the truth. About a month ago, somebody asked me in the chat, would you rather have Gonzalo Ramos or Rasmus Højlund? And I said Gonzalo Ramos. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to change my stance on it. And my reason for that was just because I thought that he was a little bit more developed at this moment in time. But I did say that I think Rasmus Højlund has a higher ceiling overall. But in the short term, I think Gonzalo Ramos would get us more goals. And I think goals is what we need at the moment. Anyway, Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that apparently Gonzalo Ramos is joining PSG for £68 million total package. So Gonzalo Ramos is 100% not coming to Manchester United. I assume you guys probably already knew that was obvious, but I know some people in the chat the other day were saying we need to go and get Gonzalo Ramos as well. We need a second striker. But unfortunately, Fabrizio has confirmed that Gonzalo Ramos will be moving to PSG. The deal is worth 80 million euros total, which is about 68 million pounds. How does everybody feel about that? Now, obviously, I don't want to cause upset or whatever, but if I said to you, Rasmus Højlund will cost us 80 million euros, which he will, or you can get Gonzalo Ramos for 80 million euros. Who'd you go for? Let me know in the comment section. Just to be clear, Gonzalo Ramos is moving to PSG for 80 million euros total package. Rasmus Højlund is coming to Manchester United for 80 million euros total package, including add-ons. So they're about the same price overall if all of the add-ons are met. Who would you rather have, Ramos or Rasmus Højlund? Let me know in the comment section. Yeah, very, very difficult to be completely honest with you at this point, to be completely straight. Because I did think that Gonzalo Ramos would be slightly cheaper than that. And I thought Rasmus Højlund would be cheaper than that. But I'm going to be honest, I am happy with Rasmus Højlund now, because at the end of the day, the most important thing here, the most essential thing in any transfer is that it's Erik ten Hag's #1 target. And we know that Rasmus Højlund is desperate to come to Manchester United. We know that Erik ten Hag 100% wanted Rasmus Højlund. That's what we know. So I don't want second or third best options, okay? And ultimately, it's not up to me or you, really, is it? So if Erik ten Hag thinks that Rasmus Højlund's going to become this world beater, then I have 100% faith in him, and he will 100% have my backing. And the thing that you guys have to remember as well, right? PSG wanted Rasmus Højlund. PSG wanted Rasmus Højlund. They ultimately failed. We got him, and now they're going after Gonzalo Ramos. So Gonzalo Ramos wasn't even PSG's first choice option. Rasmus Højlund was. That kind of says it all, doesn't it? We beat them to Rasmus Højlund, and now they're going after Gonzalo Ramos. So, yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? I'm not at all upset about it, but I thought I'd bring it into the show for you because ultimately I know a lot of you were still saying, I wish we got Gonzalo Ramos. Maybe we can still get him, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's definitely not going to happen. It looks like he is going to PSG. Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed. Right, let's keep things rolling on the show this morning. At the end of the day, guys, the most important thing here is to back the manager and to back the player. And Gonzalo Ramos, I don't know, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, as long as Ten Hag wants him, wants Rasmus Højlund, that's all that matters to me. Right, so there's some breaking news coming out in the last 5 minutes. All right, brace yourselves for this one. This is literally just come out now. This is coming from it's coming from a Belgium journalist. He's got 250,000 followers on Twitter. I'm not going to try and say his name because I'll probably absolutely butcher it, but he is reporting Manchester United are preparing to make an opening bid for Southampton's 19-year-old Belgian midfielder Romeo Lavia. How does everybody feel about that? Obviously, there was a story yesterday about this from a different journalist, and now we've got another journalist. Obviously, Lavia is from Belgium, isn't he? And there's this Belgium journalist. His name is Ekrem something. He's got 250,000 followers on Twitter, and he is just reporting that apparently Manchester United are going to make an opening bid for Romeo Lavia. What does everybody think about that? Let me know. I mean, if we got Lavia, I'd be absolutely buzzing, but I don't really see any legs to stand on in that one, to be completely honest with you. Like, how are we going to get 50 million to buy Lavia? You know, Liverpool have had 2 bids rejected for Lavia. I think one was worth 40 and another was worth 43. Like, how are we going to enter the race for Lavia? I would love to see him, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. As I said on the show yesterday, I would rather get Amrabat for 25 million than get Lavia for 50, purely because I think that means we can then go and buy a striker as well. You know, if we got Lavia for 25, Lavia for 50, that would be all of our budget gone then, you know? Whereas if you get Amrabat for 25, you could then go and get another striker as well. So yeah, I'm not really too sure. We'll obviously keep you updated on this one if we get any more news. I've not heard of the journalist, to be completely honest, but as I said, he's got 250,000 followers, if that means anything. He is from Belgium, which I guess, you know, obviously Lavia's Belgian, so maybe that's a connection. For me personally, if I'm just going to be completely honest, I think this is just an attempt to try and get Liverpool to bump up the price. You know, our name gets thrown into the mix. Liverpool then say, okay, we'll give you 50 million, because I just don't see how we can physically buy Lavia for 50 million pounds. It doesn't make any sense. The only way that this deal could potentially happen is if in the next 24 hours we get told that Donny's gone, Fred's gone, Dean Henderson's gone, Maguire's gone, McTominay's gone. Obviously, if all 5 of those players go, we're going to have about 100 million in the bank, aren't we? And then, yeah, you could go and get Lavia, you could go and get Amrabat, and you could probably get a striker as well. But at this moment in time, when our outgoings are looking very, very dry, I just don't really see how we can even be put in the same sentence as Romeo Lavia. He's going to cost you 50 million pounds. Like, we don't have 50 million pounds. As I said, our spend already for this window on Onana, Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund is 170 million pounds. You're genuinely telling me that we can then go and spend another 50 million on Lavia? That would take us to 220 million pound spend. I just don't see it happening. I don't. But anyway, it is a news show. I do bring you guys the news and then we do discuss it. Do let me know what you think about this one. Let me know in the comments section. Would you prefer Lavia for 50 million or Amrabat for 25? Let me know. I look forward to seeing you guys' opinions. As I said, my opinion on it is that I think he's a great player. I would love him at Manchester United, but I just don't see how it's physically possible for us to spend 50 million pounds on another player when we've already spent 170. You know, what happened to our 120 million pound budget that we were told for the first month of the transfer window? Like, it doesn't really add up. It really doesn't. Unless, let me just throw a bit of a conspiracy into here. Unless on the very unlikely event that already Sheikh Jassim's taken over the club behind the scenes and he's put money in, but I just think that's extremely unlikely. I'd say that's probably, in my opinion, there's about a 5% chance of that actually being the case. You know. Yeah, I know some people were saying in the chat that when PSG got bought before, apparently their owners were kind of pulling the strings before they actually announced they were owning the club. But yeah, for me personally, I don't think Sheikh Jassim I don't think he owns the club at the moment. I don't. I'm not saying he won't own the club, but I don't think he's the one doing the transfers personally. So yeah, until we get new owners, until we get a new kind of load of money, I don't really see how we could be putting in a 50 million pound bid for Lavia. And just to be completely honest with you, I honestly think that Kobbie Mainoo is going to be a better player than Lavia. I do. I'm sure people will come back to this in a year's time and say, oh, you were wrong, all the rest of it. But I believe in Kobbie Mainoo. I think Kobbie Mainoo can come and become an absolute world-class player. And to be completely honest with you guys, let me know if you think I'm talking rubbish, but do you actually see any massive difference between Romeo Lavia and Kobbie Mainoo? Romeo Lavia has played 1 season in the Premier League. He's 19 years of age. Kobbie Mainoo, this is his breakthrough season, Kobbie Mainoo, okay? I reckon by the end of this season, Kobbie Mainoo will be just as highly regarded as what Romeo Lavia is now, and he won't cost us 50 million because he's a youth academy player. So for me personally, I think someone like Amrabat has a different style of game to what Lavia and what Kobbie Mainoo has, so he would definitely be my first choice. I wouldn't bother with Lavia purely just because we don't have the 50 million to spend. It'd be nice to get him, but I just don't think it's very realistic. Right. People in the chat talking about Leon Goretzka. We did speak about Goretzka last night, but I can talk about him really quickly. So there's a story coming out from Plettigol in Germany, who's obviously, he's a Sky Sports journalist in Germany, and he is reporting that apparently Leon Goretzka is still on Manchester United's list. The last 10 days have clearly shown that he won't be a starter under Thomas Tuchel at Bayern Munich. And Plettigol goes on to say that Manchester United are planning to intensify their efforts for Bayern's Leon Goretzka. I'm not sure about Leon Goretzka, to be completely honest with you. I don't really rate him that much. I don't. I think he's a bit of a like hipster name. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I wouldn't go for Leon Goretzka. I would much rather get Amrabat. I would much rather give Kobbie Mainoo a game time. For me personally, for the amount of money he would cost, he's on 250 grand a week as well. Let me just add that in there. Leon Goretzka is on 250 grand a week at Bayern. So if he came to Manchester United, he's going to want more than that. Usually players, when they move to another club, get at least what they're getting at the old club, usually a bit more. So yeah, me personally, I wouldn't bother with Leon Goretzka. I think he's a good player, but I'm way more happy with Kobbie Mainoo. I think Amrabat's a quality player. I don't think we need Leon Goretzka. But let me know in the comment section. Let me know whether you think that is somebody we should go for. Just to clarify, this is coming from Plettigol, who is a Sky Sports journalist. He's very good around German transfers, obviously. And he is saying that apparently Manchester United are intensifying their efforts to sign Bayern Munich's Leon Goretzka. I'm not too sure. To be honest with you, though, to be completely honest with you, Manchester United always, every single window, seem to do one really surprising transfer, don't they? I mean, if you'd have told me last year that we were going to sign Casemiro, I'd have said, what the hell are you talking about? Every single season, we do pull a surprise transfer out of nowhere. So maybe he is going to be our surprise transfer. Maybe Goretzka will come to Manchester United, and we'll all say, we were linked to Amrabat all summer. How the hell have we got Goretzka? You know, maybe that will happen, but I don't think so, personally. I just don't see why we'd get Goretzka when we're so heavily linked to Amrabat. It makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely zero sense. So yeah, let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you think Goretzka is a better player. Let me know whether you'd prefer Goretzka or Amrabat. Let me know in the comment section. I'm going for Amrabat over Lavia and Goretzka personally. And that's purely because of what Amrabat has to offer. I'm not saying he's a better player. I'm saying he's a different player. Yeah, so I'm going with Amrabat. I'm 100% saying Amrabat. Right, we've got 700 of you in the chat now, which is absolutely amazing. Big ups to everybody who is joining us on the show this morning. If you haven't liked the video yet, please do go and smash a like on it really, really quickly. And please do subscribe to the channel. We're now 50 subscribers away from 8,200. So let's see if we can hit that by the end of today's stream. I've just dropped a link in the chat. We've got about 20 minutes left to try and hit that goal. So let's see if we can do that, guys. And I will continue rattling on with the news. If you do have any questions you want to get involved, put the letter Q in front of your message in the chat, and I'll try and read some out before the end of the show. Or if you want to do super chats, or if you want to join the members club, you can just hit the $sign. Any support for the channel is, of course, massively appreciated. I'll drop a link in the chat now for you. Right, there you go. I've just dropped a link in the chat if you do want to join the members club. Right, let's carry on with the show, though. Let's keep things moving. And let's talk about none other than Mr. Fred. So in relation to Fred, guys, it looks like Galatasaray will be Fred's next destination. Manchester United have lowered their asking price to around £12 million for Fred's signature. At the moment, Galatasaray have offered 3 bids, one for 5, one for 8, and one for 10. Manchester United originally wanted around £20 million and now are asking for around 12 million, which I know is very, very low, but if it means we can get Amrabat, then I'll happily let Fred go. And the other really important thing with this is Fred is on quite high wages. He's on 120 grand a week. If we get 12 million for him and we clear his wages, I think that's a positive, because from what I'm seeing, Amrabat's wages are going to be less than what Fred's on. Amrabat's going to be on around 90 to 100 grand a week. So overall, we get a better player, somebody who's more suited to what Erik ten Hag wants to do. We get some transfer fee in and we clear some wages. So for me, I will take the 12 million at this point. I know it's an absolute disgrace. I know we should be getting more money than this, but at the end of the day, this is the situation we find ourselves in. Yeah, I know everybody in the chat is going to say 12 million. That's an absolute joke. Yeah, I don't know why they've dropped the price. I don't, because obviously he was linked to Fulham. He was linked to clubs in Saudi Arabia. There was multiple clubs who were interested in Fred's signature. So why on earth they can't get more than 12 million? I really, really don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But yeah, it does look like he will move to Galatasaray. Apparently, he's already agreed personal terms with them. And Galatasaray are the ones leading the race. Although Fabrizio does report that apparently Fulham and a couple of Saudi Arabian clubs are also looking to put in a bid. So yeah, I'm not really too sure, to be completely honest with you. I don't know why we're only able to get 12 million when you've got 4 or 5 different clubs all wanting to bid for him. It doesn't really add up to me, to be completely honest, but it is what it is. Yeah, as soon as we get confirmation on Fred leaving the club, I will let you know. Obviously, he didn't go on the preseason tour to America. Fabrizio came out a couple of days ago saying he was 90% sure he was going to leave. So yeah, at this stage, I would say that Fred is almost definitely going, to be completely honest with you. Right, let's have a look at a couple of your questions. Joe says Fred out and then Amrabat comes in. Yes, exactly that. So the essential bit to this domino of transfers is as soon as Fred leaves the club or Donny van de Beek, Amrabat will then come in. It's as black and white as that. Fabrizio has reported it, those exact words. As soon as Fred or Donny goes, then Manchester United will submit their official bid for Amrabat. So yeah, it's just essential that he goes now, because until Fred goes, we're not going to get Amrabat. He has to go in order for us to get Amrabat. So that's the situation there. Right, let's read out a couple more of you guys' questions. Neil's asking about news on the backup goalkeeper situation. So at the moment, Zion Suzuki has gone very, very quiet. Apparently, he wants to stay in Japan until at least January, when the Olympics is. I'm not really too sure about this one, to be completely honest with you. For me, I would just keep Matej Kovar as the backup goalkeeper. I would have Onana as number 1, and then Tom Heaton and Matej Kovar as kind of joint number 2. I think that's fine. I honestly do. Tom Heaton's very, very experienced. He's a good goalkeeper. You know, he would go and play for a Luton, a Burnley. Like, he would get into one of those lower Premier League starting teams 100%. So for me, I would just keep Tom Heaton at this point, and I'd keep Matej Kovar. Yeah, that's what I would do. I don't think we need a backup goalkeeper, because the other thing you have to remember as well is apparently with Zion Suzuki, Manchester United were going to buy him and then loan him back out. So he was never going to come into the squad and be a backup goalkeeper. He was somebody that they saw for the future. So for me personally, right in this moment now, I would rather just keep the money, maybe go back in for Zion Suzuki in a couple of years' time if they still want him. We've got Matić Kovar, who's a good goalkeeper. We've got Tom Heaton, who's a good goalkeeper. Save the money, keep the budget, and then go and spend it on a striker. That's what I would do. I honestly don't think we need. I honestly don't think we need a backup goalkeeper. We've got plenty of options. As long as Tom Heaton and Matić Kovar stay, which it does look like they are at the moment, I see absolutely no reason to go and get another goalkeeper. Yeah, and I do like Matić Kovar. I think he's good. I think if he can get some games in the League Cup, if he can get some games in the FA Cup, I think that would be solid for him. I really, really do. Yeah, but let me know in the comment section what you think about that one. Do you think Matić Kovar and Tom Heaton are good enough to be the backup goalkeepers, or do you think we should be exploring other options? And if so, do let me know who those other options you would like to see at the club. Obviously, Zion Suzuki was the most linked goalkeeper to us, but for me personally, like, he's one for the future. Matić Kovar and Tom Heaton are better goalkeepers than Zion Suzuki, 100%. Well, at least more experienced, let's say. And as I said, the reports coming out are saying that Zion Suzuki wouldn't even go into the team. He would be loaned straight out. So it seems a bit like a pointless signing for 5 million at this point, to be completely honest, you know? Unless there's another 5 clubs who are really, really battling for him and you have to buy him now, then go and do it. But from what I'm seeing, there isn't anybody else interested in Zion Suzuki. It's just literally us. And he would be loaned back out. So it seems like a bit of a waste of money at this moment in time, when you could just let him stay in Japan, stay with his current club, go to the Olympics for Japan, probably do really well, and then in a year's time you come back in for him. But let me know if you disagree. Let me know what you're thinking about. Yeah, so somebody in the chat's asking about the Santos striker. So just a really quick one. We have been linked to another striker overnight. Now, the guy is from Santos. He's a 20-year-old Brazilian striker. His name is Marcus Leonardo. So the story is coming out from Brazilian sources saying that Manchester United have joined the race to sign Santos striker Marcus Leonardo, who is available for around 15 million euros this summer. So apparently we are, going for this guy, or we're at least interested. It goes on to say that apparently Roma and Nottingham Forest are both interested in his signature. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Until last night, when this news story had come out, I'd never heard of him. I did a bit of research after the stream finished last night, and he looks quite good. He's 20 years of age. He's Brazilian. He's in the Brazilian under-21s team. He looks like he's got really, really good potential, and he is available for around 15 million euros. So maybe this is a good one to happen. As I said, he's heavily linked to Roma, and he's heavily linked to Nottingham Forest, which, let's be honest, aren't the biggest teams in world football. But, you know, Roma have got Tammy Abraham. He's a good player. So in the league last year, in the Brazilian league, he got 13 goals and 4 assists in 35 matches. So he averaged a goal or an assist every other game. And as I said, he's in the Brazilian under-21s team. He does look really, really promising, to be fair. Very, very young. And he's available for around 15 million euros. I will do a bit more research into him after the show. I'm not sure how much truth there is in this story, to be completely honest with you. Maybe, I'll say this now, though. If we start going for players in the Brazilian market and we make it work, I'm 100% here for it, because we never seem to get people from Brazil or South America. I know we've signed people like Anthony and Martinez and all the rest of it, but we always sign them once they've moved to a big club like Ajax. We never buy people straight from Brazil. Like, when was the last person we did it? You know, you think of people like Palestri. He was already at where was Palestri? Was it Atalanta? Like, you get my point. All of our kind of South American players in our team, Casemiro, Fred, all of them were bought from other big clubs for like 50 million plus. We never get players when they're at the beginning of their career from Brazil, from Colombia, from Uruguay. Like, we never seem to do that. And I would be quite up for us starting to do that, because I feel like we're really, really missing out on the kind of South American market. It seems to be a market that we're not really tapped into. So if this deal does come through, I'll be all for it, to be honest. You know, 15 million euros is very, very little risk. People ask in the chat, his name is Marcus Leonardo. I'll put the name in the chat so you guys can go and have a look. Marcus Leonardo. I've just dropped the name in the chat for you guys. As I said, he's just turned 20 years old. He plays for Santos in the Brazilian league. From what I've seen of him, he does look very, very good. I watched a couple of videos of like Brazilian journalists and stuff, and they were saying that he is one of the kind of most exciting players coming through the Brazilian league at the moment. Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure. You know, I haven't ever watched Santos play football, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, if anybody in the chat is Brazilian, or if anybody in the chat has seen this guy play before, do let us know, as I'm always interested to get other fans' opinions. Right, we've got our first super chat of the day. This is coming from King Stash. Thank you very much, King Stash. King Stash says, is there a midfielder we can get that is good at dribbling and can retain possession and make simple passes? Because Casemiro, Bruno and Mason Mount can't even do a step over and always try the long ball. I'm going to be completely honest with you. You're literally describing Amrabat. You literally are. Amrabat is elite at retaining the ball. He's elite at passing. I did a video on Amrabat yesterday, if anybody missed it on the channel. I'll drop a link for it in the chat now. It was 5 reasons why Manchester United must sign Sofyan Amrabat. And ultimately, what Amrabat does is he gets the ball, he retains it, and he doesn't pass it sideways. He passes it forwards, right? His pass completion rate was 91% overall last season for Fiorentina. And he played on average, I think it was 5 or 6 balls forward per game, every single game. And his pass retention rate, completion rate for long balls was around 85%. So I actually think you're describing Amrabat. I'll drop a link to that video in the chat now. So if anybody wants to watch it, I've just dropped the Amrabat video. So yeah, you're saying somebody that is good at dribbling. Amrabat can do that. He's good, very good at retaining possession and make simple passes. Honestly, you're literally describing Amrabat, my friend. So yeah, that's why I'm so excited about Amrabat. He's an absolute workhorse. He's elite at tackling. He's elite at getting the ball back, and he's very good at passing and getting the ball forward. So yeah, King Stash, thank you very much for the contribution to the channel. I really appreciate that. And in relation to your question, the player that you want is Sofyan Amrabat. That is exactly who you are describing. So let's all keep our fingers and toes crossed that we do get the Sofyan Amrabat deal over the line, because he is incredible. As I said, I did do a video about him yesterday. So let me pin that video to the top of the chat so you guys can go, and if anybody's interested in watching that video, I would honestly recommend it. Because if you're kind of not that aware of Amrabat's kind of game style and stuff, then it definitely is worth going and checking out. Let me drop it in the link. Here we go. Right, I've just put a link in there now. Right. So Joe says, Kieran, why are all the young Brazilian and Argentinian wonder kids always ending up at Real Madrid and Barcelona? I think, to be honest with you, I think it's just because a lot of people from those countries like dream of playing for those clubs. You know, you think of all of the great players, you know, you think of people like Neymar, you think of people like Vinny Jr., you think of Messi. Like, they've got such a rich history of having Brazilian players, Ronaldinho, like etc. You know, the list goes on. So I think it's purely because of that, but I don't know, to be completely honest with you. A lot of people a lot of Brazilian Argentinians want to go and play for Real Madrid and Barcelona. They do. That's like the place they always dream of going, isn't it? Which is obviously fair enough, isn't it? So Kerwin is saying Amrabat, according to the World Cup stats, ran the most amount of distance out of any player in the entire tournament. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, honestly, he's an absolute workhorse, Amrabat. Really good player. Right, where are we? We've got about 5 minutes left of the video, guys. We've still got 800 of you watching, which is absolutely incredible. Please do smash a like if you haven't already, and please do subscribe. We're now 30 subscribers away from 8,200. So yeah, let's see if we can hit that by the end. That would be absolutely amazing. I've just popped a link in the chat to subscribe. Right, I will read out a couple more of your questions before we end the show this morning. Let's see what we've got. So Stefan says, the sale is stalled for the past 2 months. What do you think about reports saying Qatar is stalling? I think that's complete rubbish, to be completely honest with you. If anybody missed the news yesterday, Ben Jacobs put out a story saying that apparently Qatar is stalling the deal. I don't know, to be completely honest. Why would they be stalling the deal? Like, why would they? And if they were, surely the Glazers would just say, all right, we're going to sell to somebody else then. I think that was rubbish. And to be honest with you, when Ben Jacobs put out that tweet, it didn't make any sense whatsoever. It was worded so badly that I was reading it and I didn't even understand what he was trying to say. So to be completely honest with you, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, we did speak about the takeover quite heavily yesterday, but for anybody who missed all of the news yesterday, a really quick summary of what's going on with the takeover. It's being reported by multiple journalists in the UK that the sale has not been paused. The sale has not been paused. The sale is still ongoing, and ultimately both parties are still negotiating with the Glazers. So it's still ongoing. It's still kind of rattling on. Yeah, we don't know who's going to win at this point, obviously, but it is still kind of happening. So somebody says, Kieran, I have an idea for you. Do a jersey giveaway where everyone who sends a super chat or becomes a member gets raffles tokens with their name to win the giveaway. Make sure it's a week long. Yeah, I mean, I will do stuff like that in the future, but as I've said to you guys before, I don't really want to buy Manchester United shirts like from the Manchester United website until the Glazers have gone. Maybe I could do that for a retro shirt or something. I'll have a think about it. It's a good idea. Paul says, do you think the Glazers are delaying Højlund until Saturday to stop protests? Maybe, but I still think, honestly, I've said this to you guys many, many times before. Even if Manchester United signed Messi, Mbappe, Neymar, and I don't know, whoever else, Haaland this summer, there still will be protests. The transfers isn't the issue around Manchester United, and that's where rival fans don't seem to understand why we don't want the Glazers here anymore. I did a whole video on this the other day because I do think it's important to document, because whenever you try and speak to a rival fan about it, they just say, oh, they've spent $1 billion in the last 10 years. And you're just like, you just sound, I'm not trying to be rude, but you just sound a bit dumb. Do you know what I mean? Like you shouldn't really give your opinions on another team's, on another football club if you don't actually understand the full extent of it. So yeah, I honestly don't think that the reason we're protesting is because of not signing players. It has nothing to do with that. It really, really doesn't. The reason that they're protesting is because Old Trafford is crumbling and falling apart. They've put us in over £1 billion worth of debt. They've taken out over £700 million in debt repayments. They take out dividends every single year. Carrington's estate. The women's team don't have a stadium. The list goes on and on and on and on, you know? So no matter what they do in the transfer market, it's not going to make a difference for me. It's not. I'll support my team. I'll support them on the pitch, all the rest of it, but I'm never going to support the Glazers. And yeah, that's just the black and white of it. Until they go, I won't be buying any of them kind of, the new shirts and stuff. Do you know what's actually a real shame? I actually do quite like the new Manchester United shirt. I like the away one. I know that one gets a bit of a mixed opinions, but I do actually really like the new Manchester United away shirt, and I would quite like to buy it. But I just feel like wearing the Manchester United shirt is, for me, I just look at it and I just don't like it now. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but whenever I just see a Manchester United shirt, I just think of like greed and what the Glazers have done to us. I don't know. It's got like a negative connotation with me in my head now. And I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? And it's really, really sad, actually, to be honest. But, right, let's keep things moving, though. We've got a couple more. We've got about 5 minutes left. I'll read out a few more questions. Andrew says, do you think we will sign any more players after Sofyan Amrabat? I think we'll get Sofyan Amrabat, and then I think players will leave, and then I think we will make some more signings towards the end of the transfer window, yeah. I think we'll get another striker. I would not be surprised at all, okay, if we go in for Mohamed Kudus. I think we might go for Mohamed Kudus. I really, really do. Not now. I think closer to the end of the transfer window. I have a feeling that we're going to go for Mohamed Kudus from Ajax. This is just a hunch. I've not been told this by anybody. But yeah, I have a feeling we'll go for someone like Mohamed Kudus, maybe Felix from Atletico Madrid. I think we'll go for another striker and potentially a centre-back if Harry Maguire leaves the club. But let me know in the comment section, do you think we'll sign any more players after Rasmus Højlund and Sofyan Amrabat? Let me know. Someone says, do you think we can get João Felix on loan? Yeah, I think we could get João Felix on loan, but the only issue with that is that apparently Atletico Madrid want around £20 million as a loan fee. Plus, we'd have to pay his wages, which I think are really, really high. So I would rather go and sign a player than get Felix on loan for one season. I'd rather go and get Mohamed Kudus from Ajax, go and get someone like Taremi, maybe even get somebody like Jonathan David, like just so we have another option. But yeah. Right, let's see. We've got a couple more questions coming in before we end the video. Where are we? So Sarandeep says, do you think we can sign another striker this window? Yeah, well, as I just said, I think that we should be getting another striker, and I think that should be someone like Mohamed Kudus, etc., etc. Like, we 100% need a second striker. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Right, we've got another super chat coming in from King Stash. He says, who is the better player between Donny and Mason Mount? Donny has 1 goal and 2 assists on tour. Mount has been very wasteful in front of goal. I'll ask that back to the community. Let me know in the comment section, who do you think is a better player, Donny van der Beek or Mason Mount? And take in mind, like, obviously Donny van der Beek is kind of at his lowest point at this very moment in time. So think about it in the grand scheme of things. Who do you think is a better player? I would honestly say, if I'm being very, very honest, Donny van der Beek at his best is on level with Mason Mount at his best. I think they're both on level, but I will say this now, we haven't seen the best from Donny van der Beek. I'm talking Donny van der Beek at Ajax is as good as Mason Mount when he was at his best at Chelsea. I think so. But at the moment, obviously, I'd say Mason Mount is probably a better player. But that's just based on form, really, isn't it? Donny van de Beek has got a goal in pre-season. He's got a couple of assists. He looks pretty good. Yeah. I wouldn't say there's a massive difference between the two, to be completely honest with you. And people will be saying, why the hell did we spend 50 plus million on Mason Mount if you don't think Donny van de Beek is any better? But yeah, I'm not, just to be very clear, I'm not judging this on pre-season. I'm saying that Mason Mount, when he was at his best at Chelsea, versus Donny van de Beek when he was at his best at Ajax, I'd say they were probably level, I would. But obviously at this moment in time, obviously Donny van de Beek is, like, he's just trying to find a bit of love for football again. You know, he's had a really, really tough time at Manchester United. Whereas Mason Mount's got a fresh slate at a new club, and I think he will do well. So yeah, Donny in his prime was an absolutely incredible player. Andrew says, do you think that Tottenham will bid for Maguire after they sell Harry Kane? I'm not sure if they will, to be completely honest. I think Tottenham are just about to sign a defender, I saw this morning. So yeah, I don't think that Tottenham will go for Harry Maguire personally. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. Yeah, so Tottenham are about to sign Mickey. I think this guy's a centre-back. Let me just double check. Yeah, so Tottenham are about to sign Mickey van de Ven from Wolfsburg. This is coming out from Fabrizio Romano that the deal is at the final stages, and Tottenham are about to sign Mickey van de Ven, who is a centre-back who plays for Wolfsburg. So yeah, I don't reckon they'll go for Maguire, but you never know, do you? Obviously, they need a good couple of centre-backs, so it is possible. Where are we? Let's read out a couple more of your questions. So some people are saying that they think Donny van de Beek's better. Yeah, I honestly think it's pretty 50-50. I honestly do. Donny van de Beek's a good player, and he just hasn't had a good time at Manchester United. You know, he's not a bad player at all. And that's the thing, you know, sometimes players come to Manchester United and they get absolutely eaten alive by the pressure. They get an injury, and then it all just kind of goes wrong, doesn't it? Yeah, so yeah, in answer to that question about Harry Maguire, I don't think Tottenham will go for him because, as I just said, it looks like they are signing this Mickey van de Ven guy from Wolfsburg, who is a centre-back. That's what Fabrizio Romano is reporting. I'm just going to see if there's any other news to bring you before we wrap up the show. Yeah, so Sky Sports are reporting as well that Manchester United will announce Rasmus Højlund on Saturday at the game against Lens. So that's pretty much all but been confirmed now that he will be announced on Saturday. There's another journalist coming out in the last couple of minutes saying that Manchester United are going to put in, or are preparing to make a bid for Romeo Lavia. I mean, that's one to keep an eye on, isn't it? A different journalist to the one we spoke about earlier saying that apparently Manchester United are going to put in a bid for Romeo Lavia. I'm not too sure about that one, to be completely honest with you. Somebody else coming out saying that there is a feeling that Mason Greenwood will return to Manchester United. Okay, yeah, I think that's still a bit of an opinion at this point. But yeah, I think we've gone through all of the questions now. Thank you to all the people who did super chats as well today. If you do want to join the members club, you can just hit the $sign. I think it's $2.99 a month. Any support is, of course, massively appreciated. I'm going to wrap up the video here, guys. It feels like a really, really good point to end the video. We will be back live again at 6 p.m. UK time today. If anything breaks between now and 6 p.m, of course, we will go live as always. So do make sure you subscribe. Do make sure you hit the notification bell, and please do smash a like on the video on your way out. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have a great day or evening wherever you are in the world. Lots of love. I'll speak to you guys later. Peace out.